The week is starting, my friends, and things are looking promising. It's going to get even worse for Lula in the coming days. The Attorney General of the United States of America sent a clear message. We're obviously going to show it here. Pam Bolt said, "If you're a narco-state, we will come after you." Maduro is in this desperate situation. Desperate. It's just a matter of days before he falls. We've always been talking about this, but this weekend, things really fell apart, and the guy might have given him all the protection. Yes, Ignacio, because there's no way Maduro can turn to anyone. The United States has surrounded him. We're going to show the overview here. And if Lula doesn't give him shelter, what happens then? The guy spills the beans. But in this matter, there are other situations involving other people who are already in prison in the United States. Not just Carvajal, but also that guy El Chapo, who has already put Ignacio on the spot in the United States as well. They're keeping an eye on everything. We're going to show it here. Ramagem, once again, made new statements. All of this whole thing started to take shape after Ramagem went there. It's a huge coincidence. We've been talking about it in some videos. Smash that like button, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and join the family. I'm stopping by before we begin. The influencer Dr. Paulo Mansur. You put it here, right? When the Maduro regime falls, it shakes not only Venezuela, but also the entire South American political landscape. Yes, he's a part of the São Paulo Forum, led by Lula. He's the founder. He's the main figure of the São Paulo Forum. Soccer Nuria Novo is a co-production. Colombia rejects it, since Gustavo Petro no longer gives orders there. Colombia doesn't accept Maduro at all. There, Guyana became an enemy. Maduro tried to start a war recently. Now, several countries have come out in support of Guyana. He ended up backing down. The United States controls the sea, so Maduro can't escape that way. He can't go to Cuba either, since it's also in a catastrophic state. These little dictators love luxury, and there's no way Cuba can support Maduro and several of his allies. So, there's no escape route for Maduro. Besides, if he tries to cross over to go to Cuba, he'll have to go through the area where all those American troops are stationed. In other words, only Brazil is left. Look, I'll be honest, let Lula really bring Maduro here, because things will move along much faster than we think. Here he still says, right, who would be left? Brazil. Maduro's fall weakens Lula. The Workers' Party and Chavismo have always had a public ideological relationship. The Workers' Party was the only party, Lula, right, who recognized the fraud that happened there in Venezuela. In the election where Maduro didn't let Edmundo Gonzalez take office, it was the only one. They even sent people there, that Celso Amorim. And everyone came and asks, why do criminal factions celebrate Workers' Party's elections? They win. Looser laws, less oversight, more room for international trafficking. No one officially admits anything, but the perception exists, and politically, that carries weight. If Maduro falls, he brings down secrets, alliances, strategies, and underworld connections from Latin America, directly impacting Lula's power project. The truth is simple. Maduro's fall could be the fall of Lulism. Yes. So cracks start to become more and more apparent. Fissures. And look, we have to hope, because right now it's easier for the United States to just go in and take everything down over there, and that they already knocked down this house of cards, knock over this domino in a big way. The United States Attorney General, A. Pam Bolt, was clear. If you're a narco-terrorist, we will come after you, says the United States Attorney General. It's the Attorney General of the United States, of course. It's not like Professor Pardal. She is a person who has a very significant global presence. The Attorney General of the United States stated yesterday that the Trump administration will intensify the crackdown on criminal organizations operating in Venezuela and other regions. Do you see the little message here? In Venezuela and other regions. In an interview, she specifically mentions the Tren de Aragua, which is a Venezuelan criminal organization exported by the Nicolás Maduro regime and other countries in Latin America. Here it is, look. And other countries in Latin America. Venezuelan drug traffickers should act with caution. Because if you're a narco-terrorist, if you're a member of the Tren de Aragua, we will come after you. President Trump clarified that. They will no longer kill our children with that poison coming from Venezuela, from Mexico, and from other places. Do you understand? And from other places. So, we can already see here that the situation is not good at all for these wicked people. Ivan Kleber, our international correspondent, he lives in England. He had already mentioned it on PH Vox, right? The guys there, really good, right? Really good content. Bombshell confession. Lula on the list of politicians paid by drug trafficking. It's the people from the São Paulo Forum. The anchor at PH Vox.
Right?
He had already revealed that days ago. That was 4 weeks ago, that live stream they did. Lula mentioned in Confessions of the Mexican Drug Lord, guys, this is a huge operation. If we are getting access to this.
And it's the son of Joaquin Guzman, okay? El Chapito. He's the son of Guzman Sr. and one of the founders of the Sinaloa cartel, El Chapo, the famous one, who even has a series about him. He was arrested in the 90s. He's serving a life sentence here in the United States, right? His son was arrested last year. He made a plea bargain. And in that deal, he managed to include 16 other people to also be covered by...
That deal he made.
And it was from that deal in May that the United States had solid data to start the operation we're seeing now in the Caribbean. This information is very important, okay, guys? Very important. So that's where the validation comes from, okay? The evidence and what the American government, specifically the administration, which administration? The one Donald Trump needs to act. Then the whole operation that we're watching, besides the data that was already there.
So, thank you. Things tend to get more and more complicated for all these people here in Brazil. Because it was obvious that they didn't like it, that they didn't want it, right? They censored saying that Lula was close to Maduro and all that story and stuff. But he's the only one who gives support, who's constantly defending him, even recently. Oh, it's not good for the United States to keep meddling in things here. It's not good for the United States. Start a war with Venezuela. If we had a press loyal to the people, not a paid press, that had to end one way or another, because at least we would see less unpaid activism. At least they would do more serious journalistic work. They should be exposing all of this. They should be dismayed by Lula's situation. Every now and then, they defend Maduro, but no. It's not, because obviously their salary depends on making these defenses. Here, Globo, years ago, still defended this guy here. This here is El Chapo, his son, who made the plea bargain that PH Vox showed here, Chapito. Globo, it was 2017, and Globo was still defending El Chapo's conditions in prison. It's borderline inhumane, borderline inhumane. They bring in Amnesty International to avoid saying it themselves and give safe conduct to many criminals. That's Globo being Globo. A pro-human rights non-governmental organization says that solitary confinement in United States prisons violates United Nations standards. And what about the people from January 8th? That doesn't break United Nations standards, right? People dying, like Clayson, who was kept in solitary while requesting medical attention and medicine. President Bolsonaro is now on his third day of this inhumane act. We have official communication. Since he's there in prison, isn't that also an inhumane act? Lula can do anything in jail, right? And being guilty, Bolsonaro, being innocent, can't. He couldn't. So these are things that are being revealed. Ramagem, yesterday, ended up being a highlight again. Check Globo's headline, too. Authorities need to thoroughly investigate the escape of Alexander Ramagem. It wasn't the remote possibility. Globo's editorial, incompetence, negligence, or complicity, failure must be punished. Go ahead, Marco Rubio will give you all the attention. He has practically already signed Ramagem's extradition. Go ahead, ask him. And the regime didn't pay attention. That this request for Ramagem's extradition is going to be another shot in the foot they're going to take, because it's obvious, right? For sure, the United States will not extradite Ramagem. He has powerful information and knows everything that happened there since he was the former head of Brazilian intelligence, right? And the situation will get even worse. That's why, when we talk, he also talks here about amnesty and so on. Look, they're resigned because Alexander Ramagem secretly left Brazil for the United States without permission, but now he's protected by United States approval. Denise wrote, Moraes orders arrest and is after him. But the guy is in Miami doing live streams. I'm not going back to judicial dictatorship. What does Globo do? It provokes the judiciary, targets people, and goes after family and allies. It's pure revenge. Ramagem was the only one from the core group of Aben in the coup plot. They now say, untouchable, double standards. Lula used to visit 572 in prison. Bolsonaro kept silent at the federal police. Silence today makes you tomorrow's target. So, what about the Ramagem case? He has powerful information. And about the amnesty issue, my friends, our deputies shouldn't even think about this so-called dosimetry, because that's exactly what the system wants. Because they'll still come off as generous. As people. Look, fine, we can reduce the sentence here, since Congress wants it. Then the STF can't do anything. Let President Bolsonaro remain in this situation. If they don't accept, there's only one alternative, which is a general, broad, and unrestricted amnesty. Because the world will see that we're really not in a normal situation here, especially since there are several people exiled abroad. I hope our deputies don't come up with this idea of wanting to support the sentencing, which is absurd. This is terrible, folks. And one thing, everything is connected to each other. Every little communist, little dictator from wherever is like that. Look here, the hand of Justin Maduro's hand. There's almost more than $1 million here. Look, this is pure emerald, extremely expensive. This watch is one of the priciest, over $500,000. Because that's how they are. And what about the Venezuelan people here, huh? As Elise mentioned, Venezuelans earn $2 a month. $2 a month. Every tyrant is like that. And here we really show what reality is like. Lula is like that too. He owns one of the most luxurious, expensive gold watches. Bolsonaro used to wear a Casio, right? A Casio, and he was the big bad guy of the system. Notice, one is part of the other. They must defend and protect themselves, especially now. That's a fact. The house is falling for all of them. There's no way they can go back on anything at all. The thing is to double down, and the United States is doing all this mapping. That's why they got so desperate with this situation. Globo is desperate with Ramagem over there in the United States, because he's the guy who can cause huge damage. That's a fact. Share this video on WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook. Smash that like button this Monday. Join our family by subscribing to the channel. I'll return soon with more news on the Pae Philos channel.